Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel that brings you everything control related. And today we're going to discuss the top 10 decks outside of the top 10. But before we go into that, I just want to highlight my sponsor, Mana Traders. So if you want to get yourself 15% off a Mana Traders subscription, just see the link on the screen now, type in that code and you will get yourself 15% off. Why are we discussing the top 10 decks outside of the top 10 then? Well, these decks can be very, very tricky. And we're going to highlight each card within the deck to give you a better understanding of what you're playing against and to help you in your leagues and tournaments moving forward. So if this is something that interests you guys, stay tuned and we're going to look at every single deck in detail. Alrighty guys, so we have Izzet Spells. Very, very good deck. Sometimes it's called Izzet Blitz. And you have a variety of different creatures. You have like Brazen Borrower, Sprite Dragons. These can become very, very big due to the amount of spells that you have in the deck. You have Monastery Swift Spear, which can get even bigger with all the non-creature spells. Stormwing Entity, which you can, if you've got the mana, bolt your opponent and then cast this. You know, it's very, very good. You got Soul Scour Mage, which is excellent as well. And then you have a load of non-creature spells in Wall Slash, Gut Shot, Mutagenic Growth, Manamorphose, which you can loop and make your, you know, Monastery Swift Spear absolutely huge whilst creating mana to cast more spells. You have Lava Darts that turns your mountains into extra damage. And then you have Opts and Lightning Bolts. And then obviously free light up the stage to just keep the engine going. And then they don't actually run that many land. They only run 18 land. And the deck is very, very strong. It can win out of nowhere. In one turn before, I was playing against it, and my opponent was able to do 15 damage in one turn. I mean, sometimes when you're on like 15 life, you just think, oh well, they can't kill it. I've got one more turn, and then all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, you've taken 15 damage and you're on to the next game. So just be a little bit careful with this deck. It can win absolutely out of nowhere. And you just think to yourself, what the hell happened? The sideboard then, you have Bedlam Reveler, Kozilek's Return, Vapor Snag. Sometimes they could bounce their own thing back to their hand. Soul Guide, Lantern, Dragon's Claw, Abrade, Spell Pierce, and then we have the cheeky little Ether Gust. I think the deck is very, very good, guys, and it is only just outside the top 10. So be prepared to see this in leagues, be prepared to see it in tournaments, because for me, it is still a very, very good deck, even though it's not in the top 10. Alright, so let's move on to the next deck, guys. Alrighty, guys, the next deck we have is Aractos Prowess. It's very similar in some aspects to Izzet Prowess or Izzet Blitz, but this one tends to have a little bit more removal for creatures in the deck, as well as hand disruption. So we're just going to highlight the cards that are in the deck. So we have Free Cruxer. Seems to be seeing quite a lot of play in Modern, especially in Jund and things like that. Very, very good card. And in the mid to late game, being able to get this back onto the battlefield is very, very good. We have an Abbot of Carol Keep, which keeps the cards flowing. And it does have Prowess as well, so all the non-creature spells make this, you know, a 4-3 or a 5-4 in certain circumstances. We have a Monastery Swift Spear, which obviously gets bigger with all the non-creature spells. And then we have Soul Scour Mage. So like I said, these two creatures are in the Izzet Blitz deck. I can't even speak it. Izzet Blitz deck. Blimey. So, yeah, very similar to Izzet Blitz. You have the Mishra's Bauble to make the Prowess creatures bigger. Then you have the Cling to Dust to keep the card engine flowing and obviously gaining life in certain circumstances. Kolaghan's Command, Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push. We have one Unearths, which we can use for Cruxer if we want to disrupt our opponent's hand. Free Inquisition, Fault Seize, Seal of Fire, and then we have a load of land. And then in the sideboard we have the Lurus to bring stuff back. That's obviously going to go in the companion slot. Kolaghan's Command, one Soul Guide Lantern, 2 Liliana's Triumph, Dark Confidant, Engineered Explosives, Cleansing Wildfire for like the Tron matchup or that sort of shenanigans. So, the deck is very, very good, guys. And like I said, this one as well can win absolutely out of nowhere. And especially when it's disrupting your hand. So, normally they drop Swift Spear. They might want to double Inquisition you. See what's going on in your hand. And then just go from there. And just cast creatures and go for the win, basically. So, it doesn't win quite as quickly as it Blitz. But, like I said, nonetheless, it can be very, very aggressive. Alrighty, guys, so the next deck we're going to discuss is Vizier Remedies, or whatever it's called. And it's a Vizier combo deck, so basically it tries to find Walking Ballista and shoot you out of nowhere. Very, very good deck, and very tricky to play against. I actually played against this in the league recently. And even though we didn't do very well in the leagues recently, I did manage to beat this, which I was happy about. But yeah, so we have the Walking Ballista, we have the Shala Voice of Plenty, which can obviously make our creatures bigger. Noble Hierarch, Devoted Druid, Giver of Runes, Ranger Captain of Eos, Vizier Remedies, and Birds of Paradise. It's important to highlight here that because you can generate multiple mana with Vizier Remedies and Devoted Druid, if you've got the Shala in play, you can actually make your entire team bigger and literally just alpha swing with like massively giant creatures. Like, I'm talking 7/7, 8/8 creatures. So you can win that way as well as winning with Walking Ballista. You have Eladamri's Call. You can bring this back with the Lunge, which is pretty good. Got Eldritch Evolution to search, and then obviously Finale of Devastation to search your library as well. So there's lots of ways in which you can search for the combo pieces in this deck. Lands are pretty low, 21 lands. And then you have like a variety of sideboard cards. Spike Feeder is obviously another way in which you can win by going infinite life. But sometimes, like I said, infinite life doesn't always win. I've won multiple times with Jace the Mind Sculptor winning the game when my opponent was on 250 life. So, you know, just because you've got 250 life on MTGO doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the game. Alright. Veil of Summer. And then Burton Forge Tender. Alright, pretty good sideboard, guys. So that is, I think, the third deck, I believe. Alrighty, guys, this is the fourth deck. Now, this deck is very, very annoying to play against. And, fortunately, not a lot of players play this deck. But when they do play it, they know what they're doing. And this is Izzet Storm. They tend to have 3 Goblin Electromancer and 4 Baral Chief of Compliance to make their instants and sorcery spells cheaper. Blimey, I'm struggling to talk today. And then it has a load of instant and sorcery spells to be able to cast like an Empty the Warrens or Grape Shot. So it has like Opt, Remand, Manamorphose, Repeal, Opt, Visions, etc. I don't know why they've changed the cards here. They've looked like they've repeated the cards over and over again in different texture cards, but normally they would have like 4 Opt or 4 Remand, etc. Then you'd have your 4 Pyretic Ritual, your 4 Desperate Ritual, your 4 Gifts Ungiven, and then it says here 1 Serum Visions. It might have a couple more Serum Visions than that normally, and then you have your one of Empty the Warrens and Grape Shot, or it says here 2. This isn't a very good list, is it? Let's go and find one that actually has all the cards. Okay, this looks a little bit better. So we have the 3 Electromancers, the same as the last one. 4 Baral, Repeal, Unsubstantiate, Remand, 3 Opt, 4 Gifts Ungiven, Manamorphose, Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual, 2 Grape Shot, which the other one had, and Empty the Warrens, Past in Flames, Sleight of Hand, and then Serum Visions. And then we have very few land, like 17 by the looks of things. And then the sideboard, they potentially have Echoing Truth, another Empty the Warrens, Aria of Flame, because they have so many instants of sorcery, so they just, in the end, they shoot you for like 7, 8 every time they cast an instant of sorcery. You have a Braid, Lightning Bolt, Pieces of the Puzzle, and Mystical Dispute. It is important to note that they sometimes have, what's that card called? What's the enchantment called? Oh, let's try and find it. Where if they cast so many of the same instant or sorcery, what's it called? Now I can't find it. I will find this, guys. It's something field, I think. I know they normally choose Area of Flame now. Maybe they don't play it anymore. They normally play an enchantment where they they've cast the same spell 2 or 3 times. Whenever they cast the spell, no, I can't seem to find it. Whenever they I forgot what it's called. Maybe tell me in the comment section, guys. But if they cast so many of the same spell, whenever they cast another instant or sorcery, they get to copy that, and that helps them combo off with Empty the Warrens or Area of Flame, etc. So, a very, very tricky deck to play against. And yeah, I actually played against this, and the turn 3 comboed off with Empty the Warrens. I think they made 10 1/1s. And yeah, it was just too much. We just couldn't come back from that on turn 3, on their turn 3. So that was just unbelievable. But yeah, very, very tricky deck to play against. Coming in 5th then, guys, we have Green-White Company, and this tends to run the Heliod and Spike Feeder combo. It's very similar to Vizier, but not quite the same. But you have like your Noble Hierarch, your Walking Ballistas, your Skyclaves, your Conclave Mentor, your Heliod Sun Crowned, Auroch Champion, Ranger Captain of Eel, Spike Feeder, and then your Arbor Elf. And your Arbor Elf tries to get your combo going quite early. And then you have your Collected Companies and Utopia Sprawl, which I really like now, by the way. Utopia Sprawl is a lot harder to deal with than like an Arbor Elf, because there's so much removal running around in the format, and there's not a lot of land removal, unless they're like playing like Field or one of, or two of like Field of Ruin or Ghost Quarter or something in the main, but very, very rare. So I do like the Utopia Sprawl over the Arbor Elf, if I'm honest. And then you have your 22 land, Pendle Haven, Horizon Canopy to draw more cards if you needed. And then in the sideboard you've got your another Skyclave, your Burrington Fort Defender against Spurn, Giant Killer, Veil of Summer to make sure your spells resolve, Deicide, Damping Sphere, Path to Exile. I think Deicide's quite a surprising include here, but I suppose there's more gods entering Modern, so could be useful, I guess. But that is the 5th deck. It is very, very good, guys. Very, very good. Right, in 6th, guys, you have your Bant Spirits, which can be very, very good on its day. My friend won a PTQ with Bant Spirits about a year ago. Maybe, actually, no, it was longer than a year ago. Before COVID. Anyway, but he did very, very well, and he actually won the whole tournament. The deck is very good, so you have like a new addition in Realm Walker. You have your Rattle Chains, which has been pretty much in Spirits for as long as it's been a deck. You have your Selfless Spirit to protect you against board sweepers like Supreme Verdict. Spell Queller, which can actually stop Supreme Verdict. Mausoleum Wanderer to stop instants and sorcery spells. Your Supreme Phantom, which is like your Lord, a bit like in Merfolk type decks. Your Skyclave. Your Drogskull Captain, which makes all you guys have hexproof. And then Noble Hierarch. And then you got your Aetherval and your Collected Companies. And 2 of Teferi Time Raveler as well. The deck is pretty good, guys. I do like it a lot. What I will say is this little card here can be very, very good in the mid to late game, because if you're a control player and you manage to kill all their creatures, they're still bringing out 1/1s with this. And sometimes those 1/1s mount up and you run out of removal spells, and this can be a very tricky land to play against. So it's important to note that can be a bit of a handful in the mid to late game. And then you have your Ghost of St. Traff, which is very difficult to deal with unless you got like an Edict effect. Or obviously a board sweeper as well. Gallock Teague, Auroch Champion, Ceremonious Rejection, Mind Sensor, Force of Negation, Rest in Peace, and then Path to Exile. The deck is pretty straightforward, guys, but very, very good in what it does. So that is the 6th deck, I believe. So coming in and then at 7th is Goblin Combo. Now this deck has been pretty good on MTGO. I haven't actually played it in a league yet, but I have played it in tournament practice. And I like to play against tier 1, tier 2 decks. That's why I always write in my comment section. I don't like playing against any crap. And I have played against this, and it has been very, very tricky to play against. Especially knowing that you got the Kiki Jiki combo in there. And it can win out of nowhere. So what you got then? You got Goblin Creator Maker, which can deal with colourless non-land permanents or deal 2 damage. You got your Bushwhacker to pump your team. You've got your Pashalik Mons, which you can sacrifice a goblin and make 2 more 1/1s. Your Skirk Prospector, Kiki Jiki combo that works well with Snoop. You got your Chieftain, your Sling Gang Lieutenant, Ringleaders. I mean, Kiki Jiki's good with any of these cards because a lot of them has come in to enter the battlefield effect. So Kiki Jiki can be good in a variety of with a variety of different cards within this deck. You got your Harbinger to search up for more goblins. You got your Munitions Expert, which can deal damage to target creature or planeswalker due to the amount of goblins you have. And then Matrons obviously search for more goblins as well. So I like the deck a lot. I think it actually has a lot of game. And I do play it on in Historic. I do like it in Historic. I think it's quite good. And yeah, you have your 4 Aether Vial as well. And your Awakening to bring back more goblins. The land count is quite low, 22, but you tend to want to have mainly creatures in the deck, and it has 33 in total, so the likelihood of you seeing a creature is going to be pretty high. You have your Goblin Chain Warder, your Trash Master, your Creator Maker, your Tarfire, Blood Moon can obviously win games out of nowhere from the sideboard. Relic of Progenitus, Chalice, which can be very, like if you're playing a Delver deck, not saying that Delver sees a lot of play, but it has made a resurgence in Grixis Death Shadow recently. And putting this on 1 can be very, very damaging. And then obviously you have your Terminate as well. So yeah, that is the next deck, which is very, very good. Alrighty guys, so coming in 8th then, you have Jund Death Shadow. And yeah, I'm surprised that it's like in 18th. Obviously we're saying 8th, but we're talking about the top 10 decks outside the top 10. But really, in reality, it's 18th in the metagame at the moment. But I suppose Grixis Death Shadow is just a little bit more efficient in what it does. But it's still a very, very good deck. So you have to 2 Grim Lavamancer, your 4 Hex Drinker, which can be very hard to deal with. Especially if it has protection from everything. You got your 4 Death Shadow, your 4 Scourge of the Skyclaves, and your 4 Tarmogoyf. And then you have your Mishra's Bauble, 2 Dismember to lower your life total to make Death Shadow and Scourge of the Skyclaves bigger. You have your Temur Battle Rage, your 4 Fatal Push, your 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Inquisition and Thoughtseize, and then only 20 land, which you don't want your land count being too high anyway, because you have quite low mana cost spells. And then you have your Lurrus to bring stuff back as a companion, Temur Battle Rage, Cruxa, Veil of Summer, Rampage, Assassin's Trophy, Unravel the Aether, and the Cleansing Wildfire. I mean, the highest mana spell that you have in the deck is a Lurrus, which you have in the companion slot. Everything else is like 1 to 2 mana, so it's very aggressive, and you have to be very, very careful because they want to try and do a lot of things up until about turn 3 or 4, and then they're sort of emptied their hand really. And if you're not prepared for that, especially as a control player, you could get overrun very, very fast and very quickly. Alright guys, coming in 9th then is Infect. Now this is a deck that can win absolutely out of nowhere. And if you're not careful with your removal spells and the timing of your removal spells, like I said, you can lose out of nowhere. And the deck is very, very good. I'm surprised it's this low down, but maybe it's not quite as quick as some of the other decks in terms of winning, or as efficient. What I will say is, if you are able to deal with the creature after they've used a few pump spells, you can normally see a concession quite quickly from Infect, unless they've got another creature or like an Inkmoth Nexus on the battlefield. So anyway, we're just going to discuss this. We've got a Dryad Arbor in the main, one of 2 Spellskite to stop you from getting rid of their pumped up creatures. You have 4 Blighted Agent, which is a 1/1 Infector with unblockable. You have a Noble Hierarch to pump up your little creatures that attack individually. You have your 4 Glistener Elf, and then you have just a variety of pump spells in Become Immense, Snakeskin Vial, Groundswell, Blossoming Defense, Spell Pierce, Mutagenic Growth, Might of Old Groza, and the Visor of the Vastwood. The pump spells hasn't really changed much over the last 3 or 4 years, if I'm honest. Maybe the Snakeskin Veil is a new one of. Become Immense has been there for a long time now. I think that the only real new addition is the Snake Scale Vial. And then you have Distortion Strike, and then Scale Up, which has been around for about a year and a half now, so that's not really a new addition either. And then you have your 19 lands. And then you have Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, Distortion Strike, Spellskite, Choke, Wilt, Dismember, Veil of Summer, and Invisible Stalker. Alrighty then, guys, so final top 10 deck outside the top 10 is Merfolk. Now, this is a deck that's very close to my heart, and if you don't know, I am a fan of Nikachu, and I have been on his YouTube channel twice now, and I've always had a special soft spot for Merfolk, because when I came back into Magic in 2014, I played a lot of Merfolk for about 2 years, and I really like Merfolk as a deck. I think it's a temple deck that has a lot of game, and it's nice to see it in the metagame doing fairly well. So the deck is pretty straightforward. It has your Brazen Borrowed as a 2 of, your Mimic, which could be used as a land or maybe copying a Lord. Then you have your Silvergill Adept, your Commander Speaker, your Lord of Atlantis, your Master of the Pearl Trident, Merfolk Mistbinder, your Merfolk Trickster, your 4 Ether Vial, your 3 Dismember, your 4 Force of Negation, your 2 Spreading Seas. Very low land count in 18 here. I would normally go 19-20, but they've decided to go for 18. And then you have your sideboarded Tidebinder Mage, Spreading Seas, Brazen Borrower, Damping Sphere, Veil of Summer, Relic of Progenitus, and 4 Deprive. Just want to say a big thank you to all the people that are supporting me on Mana Traders. I just want to say a big thank you to all the people that are watching the channel, giving the video likes, sharing as much as the videos as you possibly can, because that does get the channel noticed, guys. So I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. And as always, guys, I just want to say thanks for all your support, and I shall see you in future videos. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.